Well, hey class, we decided to analyze conservative and liberal sources on the issue of immigration. I did politicians, specifically I did Bernie Sanders.
I did the media, and it focused on Rubio and how he slams on Trump for changing his views, but he also did the same thing.
And I did a private institution called FAIR, which stands for Federal American Immigration Reform.
Linkage institutions are institutions which connect us to our government. For instance, politicians,
Or the media.
Or special interest groups.
all tell us and inform us on things that are happening and tell us about their perspectives on and their take on what happened.
Analyze FAIR urges Department of Homeland Security to reject STEM jobs giveaway rule and their point of view and arguments on whether students who are undocumented immigrants should be allowed to have a manual labor job through the OPT program. The political ideology of the source is conservative. This source is conservative because it opposes jobs for illegal immigrants with the purpose of preventing them from being able to live in the U.S., similarly to how the conservatives try to deny undocumented immigrants citizenship. FAIR, the Federation American Immigration Reform, uses bias in several different ways. For one, the person they interview is the president of FAIR. Due to FAIR's biased view on these topics, he is not a credible source to interview, especially because his opinion caused the article to be censored in the first place. The next bias is the word choice. The word choice that FAIR uses is also very biased. The president of FAIR, Dan Stein, says that FAIR is proud to stand with American workers. This is extremely biased because the true Americans are actually the Native Americans that were here in the first place. So categorizing the people that are trying to find jobs as not American workers is not a justified way of categorizing them. By using the phrase American workers, Stein is creating a tone of patriotism to gain more support. The final bias that FAIR used is the lack of data they state. FAIR claims that the OPT, the Optional Practical Training Program, will make American workers' income less. They do not explain any data on the American workers' income, so no one who reads this source can understand how little or big the effect is. I disagree with FAIR's opinion on undocumented students not being allowed to get jobs because students who are here still need to survive and use their income for bare necessities. However, there is a point that I do agree with that FAIR states. I agree that OPT workers should be required to pay taxes just like anyone else.
For my source, I chose to analyze the Democratic candidate for President, Bernie Sanders, and his opinions and perspectives on immigration. Senator Sanders is known by many to be a fairly liberal candidate, and demonstrated this by advocating for pro-abortion, pro-gun control, pro-government spending, and pro-immigration reforms. Bernie Sanders' view on immigration is that immigrants are a valuable and important part of America. He believes that the U.S. policy should reflect this by not only making it easier to immigrate, but to make it easier for those immigrants already here to live and work in the U.S. Later in the article, Senator Sanders addresses an opposing viewpoint, which claims that the FAFSA trade agreement would increase the percentage of people living above the poverty line in Mexico and decrease the amount of illegal immigrants crossing into the U.S. by stating that over 14 million more people in Mexico are living below the poverty line ever since its implementation, and over 2 million small farmers have been displaced. He then goes on to say that 185% increase in the number of undocumented immigrants from Mexico has occurred between 1992 and 2011. While these statistics are accurate, they are out of context, and therefore it can be very, very hard not to be deceived by what they're saying. Since the numbers don't have any context, you do not know if there was a massive increase in population between the time that FAFSA was implemented and the time that these statistics were taken. Also, does not take into account any other environmental factors that could have happened that could have resulted in the statistics. Another thing that happens is that he makes a hasty generalization to hopefully confuse the reader into thinking that since FAFSA didn't do what it promised, and these statistics happened after its implementation, FAFSA was ultimately responsible for these atrocious numbers. This is a logical fallacy which is very effective for garnering votes, However, it makes it very unlikely that we can trust this source to be impartial as well as factual. Thank you for watching our video. I hope you enjoyed it.